The stars glimmered against the velvet darkness as Samantha Clark gazed out of the viewport. Her thin fingers traced patterns on the cold glass while she contemplated her new life. The massive colony ship Celestial Voyager had been her home for 6 months now, carrying her and 5,000 other humans to the Proxima Centauri system, where they would establish the first permanent human settlement beyond Sol. Samantha was not like the other colonists. She was the daughter of Ambassador Eliza Clark, the woman chosen to represent humanity to the mysterious Luminari, a species that had reached out to Earth just 3 years prior. The Luminari were an all-female species, or at least appeared that way to human understanding. Their bioluminescent skin and telepathic abilities had fascinated scientists back on Earth, but very little was known about their culture or true intentions. At 25 years old, Samantha had not planned on leaving Earth. She had been finishing her doctorate in xenoanthropology. When her mother received the assignment, Eliza had asked Samantha to join her, knowing her daughter's expertise would be invaluable in establishing peaceful relations. Now, as they approached the Luminary homeworld, Samantha felt both excitement and apprehension churning in her stomach. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Ambassador Clark requests your presence in the diplomatic suite." The ship's AI announced, its voice eerily calm. Samantha sighed and smoothed down her uniform. The simple navy, blue jumpsuit with the Earth insignia was designed to appear non-threatening yet professional. She made her way through the winding corridors of the ship, nodding to fellow colonists as she passed. They all looked at her with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. They knew her role would be crucial in the days to come. The diplomatic suite was a stark contrast to the utilitarian design of the rest of the ship. Plush carpeting and actual wooden furniture imported at great expense from Earth created an atmosphere of warmth and elegance. Eliza Clark stood in the center of the room, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her face, which usually wore a diplomatic mask, showed signs of strain. "We will be docking at the Luminari station in 6 hours," Samantha, her mother, said, turning to face her. "Our hosts have requested that you attend the initial meeting rather than me." Samantha felt her heart rate accelerate. "Why me?" she asked. "I thought you were the official ambassador." Eliza handed her daughter a datapad. "The Luminary High Counselor specifically requested you by name. She says that she senses a unique energy pattern in you that resonates with their people. She believes you will understand them in ways I cannot." Samantha stared at the message on the datapad. The elegant script of the Luminari language had been translated into English, but something about the phrasing felt off, as if important nuances had been lost in translation. The message emphasized her unique brainwave pattern, suggesting that she possessed a rare ability to truly comprehend the Luminary consciousness. "This could be a trap," Samantha said, voicing her immediate concern. "Why would they want someone with less diplomatic experience?" Eliza shook her head. "I don't think so. Intelligence suggests the Luminary value authentic connection above political maneuvering. They may sense that your scientific curiosity is more genuine than my diplomatic training." The next 6 hours passed in a blur as Samantha prepared for the meeting. She studied every scrap of information about the Luminari, their biological composition, their limited history with humans, and their strange crystalline technology that seemed to amplify their natural telepathic abilities. Yet she felt woefully unprepared when the ship finally docked at the massive space station orbiting the Luminary homeworld. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor that seemed to be made of living crystal pulses of blue and purple light flowed through the walls in rhythmic patterns that almost resembled a heartbeat. Samantha took a deep breath and stepped forward alone as instructed. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet like jasmine. 3 Luminari waited at the end of the corridor. Their tall, slender bodies glowed with an inner light that shifted colors as they moved. Their faces were almost human, with large, almond-shaped eyes that contained no pupils, only swirling galaxies of light. They wore simple, flowing garments that seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as the station welcomed Samantha Clark, the tallest one said, without moving her lips. The words simply appeared in Samantha's mind. "We are pleased you have come to us. The High Counselor awaits." Samantha followed them through a series of chambers, each more beautiful and alien than the last. The architecture defied human logic, with spaces that seemed larger inside than outside, and gravity that shifted subtly as they walked. Finally, they arrived at a vast chamber dominated by a crystalline structure that resembled a flowering lotus. The High Counselor of the Luminary sat at its center. Her luminescence outshone the others, her skin rippling with colors that Samantha had no names, for she appeared both ancient and ageless, her eyes containing depths that made Samantha feel as though she were looking into the cosmos itself. "You have questions?" The High Counselor spoke into Samantha's mind. "Ask them freely. There is no deception between us." Samantha swallowed hard. "Why did you request me, instead of the official ambassador?" The High Counselor gestured, and the crystal beneath them shifted, forming comfortable seats for both of them. "Your mother thinks in patterns of strategy and negotiation. Her mind is disciplined and formidable, but closed in ways she does not recognize. You think in patterns of discovery and understanding. Your mind is open to possibilities that hers cannot perceive. We need this openness for what is to come." "What is coming?" Samantha asked, feeling a chill despite the comfortable temperature extinction. The High Counselor replied simply, "There is a threat approaching that neither of our species can face alone. The Void Eaters, they consume worlds and leave nothing behind. They have already taken 3 of our colony worlds. We have technology but lack the adaptability and creative problem-solving that makes humanity unique. We need an alliance, but more than that, we need integration." The word integration echoed strangely in Samantha's mind, carrying implications she couldn't fully grasp. "What do you mean by integration?" The High Counselor rose and approached Samantha, her luminescence dimming to a gentle glow. "Our species are compatible in ways your scientists have not yet discovered. We can share consciousness, blend our strengths, and create something new. Something that might survive the coming darkness." Extended a hand that shimmered with points of light like stars. "I can show you if you consent." Samantha hesitated. Everything in her scientific training warned against such intimate contact with an alien intelligence. Yet something deeper pushed her forward, a sense that this moment was the culmination of humanity's long journey to the stars. She reached out and took the High Counselor's hand. The universe exploded behind her eyes. Stars, planets, civilizations rose and fell in moments. She saw the Void Eaters, vast cosmic entities that consumed the energy of entire worlds, leaving lifeless husks behind. She saw the Luminary fighting a losing battle against them, their telepathic weapons powerful but insufficient. She saw Earth beautiful and vulnerable, unaware of the approaching threat. Then she saw the possibility, a merging of human and Luminary consciousness, a hybrid species with the telepathic powers of the Luminary and the adaptability and determination of humans, beings who could perceive the Void Eaters on their own level and fight them with weapons of pure thought. Samantha gasped as the High Counselor released her hand, tears streaming down her face. "What you're proposing," she whispered, "it's not just an alliance. It's evolution." "Yes," the High Counselor acknowledged. "This is why we sought contact with your world. This is why we needed you, someone who could understand and explain to your people. We do not wish to conquer or replace humanity, but to offer a path to mutual transcendence, a way for both our species to survive and become something greater. You want me to convince humanity to merge with your species," Samantha said incredulously. "They'll never agree. They might, if they understand the alternative," the High Counselor replied. "You have seen the truth of the threat you have experienced, the possibility of what we might become together. Return to your ship. Share what you have learned with your mother, with your leaders. Help them understand that we offer not subjugation, but salvation through transformation." Samantha walked back to the airlock, her mind reeling from what she had experienced. She realized the enormity of the task before her. She would have to convince not just her mother, but all of humanity that their future lay in becoming something other than human. To merge with an alien consciousness, to evolve beyond their current form, would be seen by many as a betrayal of their very humanity. Yet the alternative was extinction. Samantha straightened her shoulders as the airlock opened to reveal her mother waiting anxiously on the other side. She would find the words, she would make them understand. Because in the face of cosmic horror, Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to adapt to change to become something new. And perhaps this time becoming something new meant becoming something more. What happened in there? Eliza demanded as soon as they were alone in the diplomatic suite, her voice tight with concern. Samantha sank into a chair, her legs suddenly weak. How do I explain this? She thought to herself the experience had been beyond words, beyond human understanding. But she had to try. They showed me everything, Mom. She began, her voice barely above a whisper. They showed me why they're here, why they contacted us. They need our help, and we need theirs. Samantha described the void, eaters, the cosmic predators that consumed the energy of living worlds. She explained the luminaries' telepathic abilities, their advanced technology, and their inability to defeat the threat alone. She told her mother about the integration, the proposed merging of human and luminary consciousness to create a new hybrid species capable of fighting back. Eliza listened, her expression growing more troubled with each revelation. When Samantha finished, the ambassador paced the room, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. You realize what you're asking, she said. Finally, you're suggesting we abandon our humanity, become something else entirely. The Colony Council will never approve it. Earth will never approve it. Samantha leaned forward. They must approve it, Mom. I saw what happens if we don't. The Void Eaters will reach our solar system within 20 years. Nothing we have can stop them. The luminary estimate Earth would last less than a day. Eliza stopped pacing and stared at her daughter. Need proof? She said. Something I can show the Council, something beyond your word? And the Luminaries claims the High Counselor anticipated this. Samantha replied. She invited 5 council members to experience what I experienced. To see the threat for themselves. Eliza nodded slowly. Very well. I will arrange it, but Samantha, be prepared for resistance. This goes against every instinct we have as a species. Self-preservation doesn't always overcome fear of the unknown. The meeting with the Colony Council took place the following day. 5 council members had agreed to undergo the telepathic connection with the Luminary High Counselor. They returned shaken and pale-faced, just as Samantha had, but convinced of the reality of the threat. Kate Bailey, the head of the science division, was the first to speak in the emergency session. We have verified the astronomical data, she announced, her voice steady despite her obvious distress. The void phenomena the Luminari showed us match unexplained observations. Our deep space telescopes have been recording for years. We simply hadn't recognized the pattern or understood what we were seeing. Riley Jordan, the security chief, nodded grimly. My team analyzed the tactical simulations based on what we experienced. The Luminari aren't exaggerating. Our weapons would be useless against these entities. They exist partly outside our physical reality. The council chamber erupted in voices, some panicked, some angry, some simply in denial. Eliza called for order, her authoritative voice cutting through the chaos. Let us be clear, she said. We face 2 choices, neither of them easy. We can reject the Luminary proposal and face almost certain extinction within 2 decades, or we can accept their offer and become something, neither fully human nor fully Luminary, but something new. I cannot make this decision alone. It affects not just our colony, but all of humanity. Lisa Morgan, the colony's medical director, raised her hand. We need more information about this integration process. What exactly happens to us physiologically, psychologically? Would we still be ourselves in any meaningful way? Samantha stepped forward. I asked the same questions, she said. The High Counselor has agreed to demonstrate the process with volunteers, a small group who would undergo the first stage of integration while being monitored by our medical and scientific teams. That way we can see exactly what happens before making a final decision. After hours of debate, the Council approved a test. Group of 20 volunteers, scientists, engineers, security personnel, and diplomats all stepped forward, willing to risk themselves for the chance to save humanity. Samantha insisted on being among them, despite her mother's objections. The integration chamber on the Luminary station hummed with energy. The volunteers lay on crystalline beds surrounded by monitoring equipment from both species. Luminary healers moved among them, their skin glowing with gentle pulses of light. Human doctors watched, nervously checking vital signs and brain activity. Samantha felt strangely calm as a luminary named Lyra approached her bed, the alien's luminescence a soothing blue. "This first stage will be gentle," Lyra explained in Samantha's mind. "We will create the initial neural pathways that allow our consciousnesses to connect. You will remain fully yourself but begin to sense our collective awareness. Are you ready?" Samantha nodded, closing her eyes as Lyra placed cool fingertips on her temple. At first, there was only darkness. Then slowly pinpoints of light appeared like stars forming constellations in her mind. Samantha felt herself expanding beyond the boundaries of her body, her awareness touching other minds first, the other human volunteers, then the luminary healers. Each mind had its own distinct pattern, its own rhythm and color. She could sense their thoughts not as words, but as impressions, emotions, images. The luminary collective consciousness was like an ocean, vast and ancient, filled with knowledge and experiences beyond human comprehension, yet somehow familiar at its core. Their fears, hopes, dreams were not so different from humanity's, and then she felt it at the edges of her expanded awareness, a cold emptiness, a hunger so vast it could never be satisfied. The Void Eaters distant still but approaching inexorably. She understood now on a level beyond intellectual knowledge why the Luminari were so desperate, why integration was their only hope. 3 days later, the test group gathered in the colony ship's conference room to share their experiences with the full council. The atmosphere was tense with anticipation. Samantha spoke first, describing the connection she had felt, the expanded awareness and the sense of the approaching threat. Others followed, each sharing similar experiences with varying details. Some spoke of new abilities, enhanced perception, or flashes of knowledge they couldn't possibly have known before. The medical team presented their findings. Vital signs remained stable, though brain scans showed dramatic increases in activity, particularly in areas associated with empathy, intuition, and creative problem-solving. Genetic testing revealed subtle changes at the cellular level, nothing harmful but significant nonetheless. It appears to be a symbiotic process. Dr. Morgan explained, not a replacement of human biology, but an enhancement. Our DNA remains intact, but with new expressions activated. The luminary consciousness seems to act as a catalyst, unlocking potential that was always there. The debate that followed lasted for days. The colony was divided. Some saw integration as an opportunity, a natural next step in human evolution. Others viewed it as a surrender, a loss of essential humanity. Still others distrusted the luminary entirely, believing the whole thing might be an elaborate trick to subjugate humanity. Tensions reached a breaking point when a group of colonists led by engineer Olivia Ward barricaded themselves in the ship's auxiliary control room, threatening to break orbit and return to Earth. They feared the integration would spread like a contagion, eventually consuming all of humanity, without consent. Samantha volunteered to speak with them alone. She stood outside the sealed door of the control room, her heart pounding. "Olivia." "It's Samantha Clark," she called. "I understand your fears. I had them too, I still do. But I'm asking you to listen to what I've experienced there." Was a long silence before the door slid open, revealing Olivia's tired face. "Let her in." Olivia told her followers, but only her inside the control room. Samantha faced 24 frightened colonists. Their makeshift weapons didn't concern her as much as the panic in their eyes. "I won't lie to you," she began. "This is terrifying. I'm scared too. We're facing something unimaginable and being asked to become something equally unimaginable. But I've seen both possibilities. The Void Eaters are real and they're coming, whether we like it or not." "What proof do we have besides your word?" Olivia demanded. "The word of 20 people who may already be compromised." Samantha took a deep breath. "I can show you," she said. "One of the unexpected effects of the first stage. Integration is a limited ability to share consciousness. It's not as powerful as the Luminari can do, but..." Several colonists backed away, alarmed, but Olivia stepped forward. "Are you saying you can make me see what you saw?" "Not exactly," Samantha explained. "I can share the emotional imprint, the sense of it. It's not mind control. It's more like letting you feel what I felt, brief and limited, but enough to understand. Olivia hesitated, then nodded her consent. Show me. Samantha reached out, gently placing her fingertips on Olivia's temples, focusing on the memory of what she had experienced with the High Counselor. She felt a strange sensation, like a door opening between their minds, and pushed the memory through. Olivia gasped, her eyes widening. After a moment, Samantha broke the connection. Olivia staggered back, supported by her friends, her face pale but her eyes clear. It's real. She whispered, it's all real. The others need to know. Word of Samantha's ability spread quickly through the colony. More people came forward, wanting to experience what she had seen, wanting to understand the threat they faced and the opportunity the Luminari offered. The process was exhausting for Samantha, but with each shared connection, more colonists moved from fear to cautious acceptance. Meanwhile, communication with Earth continued. The Colony Council transmitted all their findings, the test results, the testimonies, and the proposal for full integration. Earth's governments reacted with predictable alarm and suspicion. They ordered the colony to return immediately and break all contact with the Luminari. We can't do that, Eliza told the Earth Council during a tense video conference. The Void Eaters are less than 20 years from reaching our solar system. We need this alliance. The Earth representatives argued, debated, and threatened. They spoke of military intervention, of declaring the colonists traitors, of quarantine and containment. But in the end, they had no way to enforce their demands. The colony was 8 light years from Earth, beyond the reach of any military force. Samantha watched her mother during these negotiations, admiring her strength and diplomacy. Eliza had come to accept the necessity of integration, though she still struggled with its implications. The Earth Council demanded more proof, more time, more assurances, while the Luminari warned that time was running short. The Void Eaters had accelerated their consumption pattern, moving through systems faster than anticipated. Finally, after weeks of debate, the colony voted. 90% chose to proceed with full integration, to become something new in order to save both species from extinction. The integration ceremony took place in a vast crystal chamber on the Luminari homeworld. 5,000 humans and an equal number of Luminari gathered in concentric circles. Samantha and the High Counselor stood at the center. The air hummed with energy, bands of light flowing through the crystalline walls, floor and ceiling. This is not an ending. The High Counselor announced, her thoughts reaching every mind in the chamber. It is a beginning. A new species born of 2 ancient lineages, carrying the best of both forward. What we create today will face the darkness together and prevail. Samantha looked out at the gathered faces, human and Luminari, all showing the same mixture of fear and hope. She thought of Earth, of the billions who might follow this path if they succeeded, of the future they might create together. Then she took the High Counselor's hand and the transformation began. 5 years passed since the integration ceremony. The colony on Proxima Centauri B had flourished, growing into something neither human nor Luminari had imagined possible. The newly formed hybrid beings called themselves the Stellaris. They retained their individual identities and memories, but shared a collective consciousness that transcended previous limitations. Their physical forms had evolved to skin that could shift from normal human appearance to the luminescent glow of the Luminari, at will, enhanced senses and the ability to communicate telepathically across vast distances. Samantha stood on a hill overlooking the main settlement, watching children play in the central plaza. Some fully human, others showing the first signs of natural hybrid evolution. Earth had finally agreed to send observers after years of isolation and suspicion. A ship would arrive tomorrow, carrying scientists, diplomats, and military personnel to assess the Stellaris and the threat of the Void Eaters. She sensed her mother approaching before she heard her footsteps. Eliza had undergone the integration too, though later than most. Her silver hair now had strands that glowed softly in darkness, but otherwise she looked much the same. They'll be afraid of us, Eliza said, joining her daughter. Their fear is understandable, Samantha replied. We've become something they can't fully comprehend until they experience it. Eliza nodded. Our reports and videos don't capture the reality. They see our physical changes, our new abilities, but not the essence of what we've become. How do you explain colors to someone who has never seen them? Samantha smiled at the analogy, perfect for what they would face tomorrow. The Earth delegation would arrive with preconceptions, suspicions, and an inability to truly understand what the Stellaris had become. They would see the surface changes, but miss the deeper transformation, the sense of connection and purpose that unified them. The early warning system alerted them to the approaching Earthship sooner than expected. Samantha and Eliza joined the greeting party in the landing field, watching as the massive vessel descended from the clouds. It was a military design, thinly disguised as a scientific expedition, bristling with weapons and scanning equipment. Be patient with them. Samantha reminded the gathered Stellaris Council. Remember what it was like before we understood. The Earth delegation emerged from their ship, led by Admiral Laura Bennett, a stern-faced woman whose hand never strayed far from her sidearm. Behind her came scientists in protective suits as if the Stellaris condition might be contagious, and a group of government officials trying to hide their unease. Admiral Bennett Eliza stepped forward, extending her hand in the traditional human greeting. Welcome to New Dawn. We've been expecting you. The Admiral hesitated before briefly shaking Eliza's hand. Ambassador Clark, she replied formally. I see the reports of your transformation were not exaggerated. Samantha felt the Admiral's fear and suspicion radiating like heat. Her mind was closed, tightly disciplined, but unable to hide her emotional state completely. We have prepared quarters for your team, Samantha said, as well as laboratory, space for your scientists to conduct whatever tests you feel necessary. We have nothing to hide. The next few days were tense. The Earth scientists subjected the Stellaris to countless tests, biological, neurological, psychological. They scanned, analyzed, and questioned. They studied the integration process and the resulting changes with equal parts fascination and horror. Admiral Bennett remained skeptical during the briefings on the Void Eaters. These entities, she said during one particularly heated session, sound more like mythology than science. Why have our own deep space telescopes not detected them? Dr. Caitlin Fisher. The lead Earth scientist cleared her throat. Actually, Admiral, they have. The data the Stellaris provided matches perfectly with anomalies we've been recording for decades. We simply didn't know what we were looking at. The void regions are expanding exactly as they predicted, the Admiral frowned. But when can we expect these Void Eaters to reach our solar system? 20 years is convenient, long enough that we can easily verify the threat, but short enough to pressure us into action. Samantha stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, the timeline isn't something we invented. We can show you directly if you're willing. I can share the awareness just as I did with my fellow colonists 5 years ago. Absolutely not. Bennett snapped, backing away. We've seen the brain scans of those who've undergone even that limited connection. Your neurology changes permanently. Samantha nodded. That's true, but the changes are subtle and beneficial. Expanded awareness, increased empathy, enhanced problem-solving abilities. These are not losses. Admiral, they're gains for 2 weeks. The Earth delegation observed, tested, and debated. They witnessed demonstrations of Stellaris abilities, their advanced technology, and their unified approach to problem-solving. Some of the scientists began to show interest, even admiration. One even volunteered for the limited consciousness sharing. Despite the Admiral's objections, Dr. Fisher emerged from the experience shaken but transformed. I understand now, she told her colleagues, tears streaming down her face. The threat is real, more real than we imagined. And what the Stellaris have become, it's not a loss of humanity. It's an evolution, a transcendence. Admiral Bennett remained unconvinced until the day the long-range sensors detected an anomaly at the edge of the system. A void region larger than any previously recorded was approaching faster than should have been possible. They found us, the High Counselor announced in an emergency session, her luminescence pulsing with alarm. An advanced scout, a fragment of the main force, but dangerous nonetheless. We must respond immediately. Earth observers watched in awe as the Stellaris mobilized their ships, unlike anything human or Luminari had built before, rose into the sky, powered by a combination of crystal technology and human ingenuity. Their weapons were equally unique, designed to affect entities that existed partially outside normal space-time. Samantha joined the defense force connected to the collective consciousness of the Stellaris fleet. As they approached the void region, she felt the cold emptiness, the hunger that had haunted her nightmares for 5 years. The battle that followed was unlike any conflict in human history. The Void Eater Scout, a vast shadow against the stars, attacked with tendrils of anti-energy that consumed everything they touched. The Stellaris responded, with weapons of crystallized thought focused through their unified consciousness. Admiral Bennett and the Earth delegation watched from the colony's command center as the battle unfolded on their screens. "What are we seeing?" Dr. Fisher asked in wonder, her face illuminated by the display. "The birth of our future," Eliza replied simply. "If we survive." After 6 hours of combat, the Void Eater Scout retreated, leaving behind a trail of darkness. The Stellaris had proven their worth, their hybrid nature, giving them advantages neither parent species possessed alone. But the victory had come at a cost. Several ships had been lost, dozens of Stellaris lives extinguished. Their collective consciousness mourned each loss, feeling it as their own admiral. Bennett stood in silence as the fleet returned. She had witnessed something that defied her understanding, something that challenged everything she believed about humanity and its place in the universe. "I will recommend," she said finally to Samantha and Eliza, "that Earth begin preparations for integration. Your people have proven both the threat and the solution are real. The process will need to be voluntary, carefully monitored, and gradual, but it must begin soon." Samantha nodded in agreement. Earth would resist change as the colony had. Many would fear what they did not understand, but humanity had always adapted, evolved, and survived. It was their greatest strength. And now, faced with a threat beyond imagination, they would transform once again as the Earth ship prepared to depart, carrying samples, data, and the changed perspectives of its crew. Samantha stood with her mother, watching the sunrise over their new world. "We have given humanity a chance," she said. Eliza smiled. "No, my daughter, you have given us all a future, and it is brighter than we ever imagined."